Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Southside Experience, episode 11. My name is Stefan. I'm joined by my co-host, Kylie. How you doing today, Kylie?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
Good. I'm doing good. Also, owner of Southside Gaming, Devin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
Awesome.
Having a great day.
Awesome. Nice. We also have Jack joining us tonight. Jack, how are you doing?
Good. I did
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. And last and definitely not least, as you could see the slide that we had presented at the start of the show, we have Zach Bivens. How you doing today?
I'm great, man. Just got home from Disney World, so.
Nice. That's awesome, man. And again, congratulations on your super strong run. Third place is definitely such a small percentage, but like it totally makes sense with the amount that you've practiced and you just so close. And I think if it wasn't going to be this year, right, I think next year, season 2, I think if you have the gas, your foot on the gas all the way, I don't think it's impossible for you.
Yeah, I would watch out if I was anyone else going for that title.
Awesome. Great. Well, so having the friends join again, we're going to do the same thing like we did last time. We are going to be talking about Lorcana for a little bit, and then we'll do a follow-up segment with our new interest, Riftbound, and we're going to recap a little bit on we had a learn to play session in the store this week, and we'll talk a little bit about that and some reveals as well. Before we get started, though, I do have a small announcement, not in size, but just wanted to get it out there, just make sure that you guys are aware that we have our anniversary case tournament this weekend for Lorcana, kicking off the first tournament of a month-long series of tournaments for the games that we support in our store. We have this will be a one case guaranteed prize pool with scalable pricing based on attendance. $10 entry. You don't want to miss it. SSG, how the events that we run, and we will be also streaming it as well as having commentary by our very own Gabe and Skinner as well.
Oh, sweet. I didn't realize we had
boys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, we always like to provide the coverage, and if you can't visit SSG for one of these, at least you can watch and see. Again, great gameplay. A couple well-known players down here continuing to represent either strong teams or some of them are just lone wolves and constantly placing in top, and always you'll see a lot of familiar names if you're participating. So if you're in the area and didn't get a chance to make it to Texas this weekend, definitely come through and enjoy this event. All right, so what we'll do is I wanted to kind of pick Zach's brain a little bit. Obviously you have a ton of questions, right, with like the leading up to Worlds and then Worlds itself, but kind of wanted to let you do your thing, focus, practice, whatever you needed to do that was necessary for the preparations. But I kind of wanted to go kind of like around the table and see if anybody had some questions for you as far as how we where was your head at in preparation, getting to the venue itself, seeing a lot of familiar faces from either Ravensburger, the commentary, judges. I mean, the last time that we've had something like this was Nats, right? So going from that, leading into Worlds, like, how were you feeling?
Dude, yeah, it has been a long time, but yeah, just like it was yesterday. Like, I felt fine. I was more than ready.
Awesome. Yeah. And then I'll pass off to Kylie. Did you have any questions in regards to kind of the prep and like the day of?
Well, I know some of the prep because he came down here and cleaned us up pretty good.
We don't like that word. Don't use prep no more.
He just kept pummeling. He kept pummeling on the boys down here.
Did you get a bad B prep recently, Devin?
Did I?
What happened? No
Me?
return on B prep. Got you upset.
No, but I play poker, but I did get I do. There's been a lot of suck outs lately, right? One outers, so For me, at
Be like
least.
that sometimes.
Hey, listen, variance,
Oh,
is boy.
Yeah.
But, I did get a chance to talk to Zach. I think I talked to you before and after.
Mhm.
I did get a little bit of your insight. How do you feel about the format? I think that's been the most discussed thing I've seen. Like, did you enjoy going from super sealed into the best of 3 Bana deck into a best of 5 no Bana deck, or do you think that it should have been kind of a different layout?
No, I think that part was fine. In general, like I had a pretty negative mindset towards the super sealed. Mainly, there's a lot of reasons. One, didn't come from a game like a lot of these Magic pros that did sealed in the past, so kind of was like a
Pokemon
disadvantage. It
Shield's
felt
not
like
really
there.
a thing.
And then, I mean, your opening packs, it felt like there's probably going to be a lot of variance. But I mean, after I came to Southside for those 4 days and played at Worlds, like I've literally never lost a best of 3 match, or like I'm pretty much undefeated and sealed at this point. So I guess there's not as much variance as I thought. I don't know. 3-0 at Worlds in the sealed. So
No, yeah,
it seems like there should be a lot of variance in it, but I don't know. So I guess it's not so bad. But the triple deck is like my bread and butter. Like I feel like I am one of the best TCG deck builders like of all time. So like getting to play in a new format, where you're building 3 decks and there's so many variables to it, like I thrive in that. So it was like perfect for me. Loved it.
That's awesome. And then I just want to give you guys a heads up. I do have slides including all 3 of Zach's decks list that I definitely want to pick apart, ask questions on, and stuff like that. So we'll have that coming up. But definitely want to give the floor to anybody else if they had questions, about the experience before we move forward to that.
Can I just say something? Maybe not necessarily. We'll definitely get to questions, but what Zach just said, first and foremost, my opinion, because I play a lot of different card games. Definitely, there's a skill cap. I think there's a skill cap when it comes to Lorcana, but where I really believe where the high skill cap in this game is the deck building, right? Like that's where you shine, and the pioneer here, Zach, I'm telling you, like you nailed it, bro, and I agree with you. I think you are the best deck builder there is here in the world, hands down. I'm sorry, I get a little, I'm passionate, whatever.
No, I mean you're not wrong, right? Like,
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Unless it comes to the
guy,
dogs,
This is the guy that played 1 Pete.
So it's so crazy. I want to talk about that, by the way, because the confidence right there, right? Like that's how you know what, and I haven't had a conversation with Zach about this at all, right? But when you are confident and you are with your deck, right, and you identify that you're using a card where everyone thinks it's a 4 of must, but you use it as a tool and as at some point you could keep bouncing it back. That's where, and I'm sure there's and I could be wrong, but maybe there are some slots that you wanted to take out so you could get that extra lore, right? Maybe I could be wrong, but you wanted to get like maybe the white flower or something else, and it's like, you know what? If I ever wanted to loop a Pete, I have the ability to do that with foxes and snakes, right? So, but that just shows you the confidence, bro. Because like,
so yeah, 1 Pete was very complicated. There's so many factors that go into even just something like that. Like if your main plan is banning steel, like Pete is the reason to play Amethyst steel. But like if you're banning other steel decks, why do you need Pete? Most of the red blue decks were the items deck. Like you could easily see that coming a mile away. That most of them are going to be the item decks where they play like 0 to 2 B prep, and that's the only reason for Pete there. Otherwise, White Rose is so much better. So just given the context of the World's format and what I'm trying to accomplish, yeah, Pete is an auto include in Purple Steel, but like it's not when you're trying to accomplish different things in this different format. You need the White Rose. I would not have got past Mo if I didn't play 4 White Rose in my deck. If I had those as Pete's, like I'm probably not winning those games.
Or Gloy.
Gloyd off the top rope. But yeah, since I was banning steel, like yeah, why do you need 4 Pete's? You just don't.
love that.
Yeah, that's super awesome. And like I said, we'll get to that deck list too.
And I think it's cool. It just speaks to what the whole of triple deck format brings, right? Like where you can have these like super specific, not only decks, but card inclusions too, because you have so much control over what you're going against and when, right? Like whether you're on the play or the draw, and if you're even playing against that ink at all, right? Like so many of the deck lineups were built around banning a certain color. So I don't know. I really think triple deck format is a super high skill expression format, and you have a lot of people that have been complaining about it being picked as a Worlds format because the good player doesn't get to play the deck they're good at, like because you have some of these like known like one tricks, but man, like it just like Zach was saying, you get to shine your deck construction skills to such an insane degree in this format that I think it was an incredibly good choice for Worlds. Yes. Because it's like truly we get to see how to like define like a really good builder. Or not just builder, but player as well, right? Because obviously they have to pilot the deck too. So like
the goal of the World Championship it's to pick the best player, and you're not worthy of being world champion if you can only play one deck. So,
I was just gonna say that, right? For a lot of the players out there that feel that type of way, there's a different mindset. So it's like it's all about perspective, right? What Zach just said, like it's Worlds, guys. It's Worlds, right? So it's not. Yeah. So you're not. Yeah.
No, that totally makes sense, and I think that is probably there can be an argument to be mentioned about while there was like a lot of opinions about the super sealed format as well. Overall, right? It's just I think it was a pretty good representation of what Ravensburger expected from a world champion winner, right? And I think those that placed high in the event, it showed the amount of dedication, patience, skill, all in one to ultimately determine the top players this year, right? And we'll continue to see evolutions of that as we're about to experience an additional format in a couple of months, right? With a separate ban list. So that will be interesting, but we'll talk more on that a little bit. Zach, I wanted to go over some of the list with you and kind of have you explain to us and the audience as well. Overall, what were the strategies for the deck? What were some like auto includes when you conceptualize them? What were you worried about queuing into when it came to playing other players? Like obviously,
actually.
Maybe
that's a good segue into the Dis Dude has a really good question here that I think is worth talking about while we're still on like the general topic of the triple deck, because this has been asked a lot and discussed in great detail. So I'm sure people would love to hear Zach's opinion on it. Like not just with DKP specifically, but like someone's pet deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, that's a great question. A lot of people would assume you just automatically ban Ruby Sapphire with DKP or whatever. But you have to realize that if you're at the World Championship, you have the best players in the world that have been prepping for this for a month. Like we can all play every single deck perfectly, just about. Like I'm not changing just because it's DKP. I'm going with what my lineup strategy was to be banning. Like, yeah, I think at this level you don't ban someone's pet deck or whatever because we can all play the decks perfectly. So it's not about that. It's about what makes the most sense given the matchups.
Yeah, that's actually a great insight there. Another example of just like high level thinking when it comes to that, because like let's say there's been a deck type or a specific color that has just given you PTSD throughout your Lorcana career. That might be your snap decision, but going over because you have the opportunity to look at not only the ink pairings but the list themselves to kind of see, okay, are my decks equipped to deal with these two other decks if this third deck that I plan on banning is probably the most problematic for my other two that I assume that will stay alive. So a lot of thought process there, and I'd love to dive deeper on that conversation too. It's probably a really good topic for another podcast. Actually, it's just like the whole process in doing that. But let's go over some of the surface slides here. So first one, obviously, okay. So the first two were the ones I definitely had the most questions on because they were new decks that I've seen played by you. And we'll start off with the Amber Ruby deck, right?
Okay.
Tell us what your general strategy is here. Overall, it looks like you're leaning very heavy into the hyper aggro, hoping that this is the one that you get to play on the play. So just talk me through, how you conceptualize the deck and what you're going for, and anything that any of us normal people might have missed.
There's a lot to talk about with my lineup and just the format in general. But basically, honestly, so I started with green blue. Like I knew I wanted to play green blue for this. So that takes away like a lot of your different Ruby options. Like obviously you don't have Ruby Sapphire anymore. And I'm not playing red purple. Like that deck just not very good right now in my opinion. So like this is kind of where I was forced into, and I think it's very good. Amber Steel is a deck that abuses Lady and a lot of these same concepts, and everyone wanted to ban that. Like that was probably the most banned deck at Worlds was Amber Steel. This deck is kind of Amber Steel but red. Like you don't have the removal stuff, but you still abuse Lady and Daisy and Piglet and all that stuff. So what I did was I took away their option to ban my aggro. Like I don't have the Amber Steel. You can't ban both my Steel deck and my aggro deck.
You don't get the free ban.
Yeah, exactly. So now like it puts them in a really tough position. And this deck is like the way it's constructed, like it's never losing when it's on the play basically. Like it just doesn't happen. So like I really put them in a really difficult spot by having this. It accomplishes so many of the things that Amber Steel does, but if you ban this, I still have my Steel deck. So it really puts them in a bad spot. And like you said, it's the hyper aggro strategy. I'm doing it on the play every time. And then I have the way I built it was amazing. I think Super Goof and Gloyd are amazing finishers that people don't necessarily see coming. Nobody even knows what a Gloyd Orange Pour is.
Okay, here I'm about to Uno reverse you. What movie is that from?
I have no idea.
That's the greatest movie of all time, right there. That's Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ralph, baby.
All I know is, he gains a lore, and he came off the top rope to finish Mo.
That was crazy bringing that down. I remember, like, when you gave me the list of cards you needed.
Said it's from How to Train Your Dragon.
And I'm just like, I was just looking at some of these cards, and I was like, what is that? Like, I was like, I'm time to hit the bolt, baby. Like, I've never seen that card. Gloyd was definitely one. Yeah. And it was really just Gloyd, I guess, in this deck and the Minnie Mouse. I knew the Minnie Mouse had a promo, but I didn't really know what it did. I saw 0-8 and I was like, all right, he's cooking something here. I'm like, 0-8 is pretty painful to get through.
We have Skinner helping you out here. He's actually from How to Train Your Dragon. So
that's true. It is.
Trade your
Minnie Mouse and Rapunzel. Okay, so Rapunzel you think is an auto include in something in like every Amber deck, but it's really not. I was actually testing with no Rapunzels or 2 Rapunzels most of the time. Just because it's really hard to pull it off, and you actually don't even get to 4 ink every time. But really, with this color combo, there's like barely any good cards. Like you get to like 50 cards, and you're like, okay, I got to finish this out somehow. So obviously, Rapunzel can be game breaking sometimes. So essentially, she's mostly ink, but yeah.
And
Rapunzel
and
Minnie are just filler cards.
Like there can be positions where they have to play into Rapunzel because they literally lose the game otherwise, and then you just go, okay, cool, refill the tank, right? So
and then you can high roll with Mother Gothel and Rapunzel too. So
did you cut Gothel when you cut Rapunzel? Or
absolutely.
Did you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Gothel and the Sisu are cards that are very helpful though, because your entire deck dies to both Sisus, the 3 cost and the 8 cost. And just having something that can live, like you'll win a lot of games against like Ruby Sapphire at 18 lore when you just drop a 3-cost Sisu and they can't kill it. So
because it's got like 7 strength. So even with a couple foil triggers, they still can't
Yeah.
brawl with it. Yeah.
They're missing out on those ice blocks, man. They miss those ice blocks.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, but yeah, there's just a lot of thought that goes into every single card, and yeah, essentially I started green blue, and that's how I ended on red yellow.
That's awesome. So, you know, I don't have any other questions in regards to this deck. And because you've already kind of clued in a little bit about the next one, and definitely a ton of feedback that or questions that I have and to get some feedback for will definitely be that Sapphire Emerald list.
I wanted to play this so bad at the team tournament, boys.
I'm actually upset that I didn't get to see this.
I
Zach.
wanted to play this so bad, but I was like, man, I can't play anything in the ballpark of what Zach plays before Worlds. I was like, screw it. I brought like the edge strategy. I'm like, I'll just do 3 meta decks and be done.
Yeah.
But man, I
mean,
wanted to play this. It
that's-
looks so good, man. So fun.
The green blue was my starting point. I was playing the discard, the bend to my will for the longest time. Just kind of kept this in my back pocket, and then this just started testing a lot better. So yeah, I was super happy with this. But I knew months ahead that I was playing green blue at Worlds.
Can I say that this game, the gameplay with this, could have been the most amazing game I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I have to
really
agree.
texted you right away. I'm like, bro, you're the GOAT. I can't.
Dude, I mean, every game we got to see on stream with it was pretty crazy. Even the one, the last one against DKP, which was like I was on the edge of my seat because I honestly thought you might stabilize. You know, like
my draws were not helping me, and then Oswald sent the Gator to the bottom, which I really
the Gator was going to be so huge. When I saw it go to the bottom, I literally I was like, no.
Yeah.
It's a shame, like things like thinking like a card like Hypnotic Deduction would work well with Oswald, but the issue being is again, like it's an action and like there's so many parts of this combo you're trying to pull off. So getting that value from Oswald is like critical, but also, you know, I'll make a comparison. It's like when I'll play an Ariel and Steel Song when I there's a character that I need for that specific time, and then Ariel just sends that one and the second best character to the bottom of the deck. It just feels really bad. So like watching the Croc go to the bottom was just we felt your pain on the other side.
Yeah.
Wow, were there really only 3 mouse traps in there, huh? Or the Radigan's trap?
Yeah, I mean, you recycle it so many times.
Yeah, no, I'm just it's not so much that I don't think 3 is enough. It's just from the games you would have never known because of how many times you played them. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I kind of just lost track and thought we saw all 4. You know, like
yeah.
Reminds me of the lamp with in the Blurple deck with the Tomatos and the lamp. You just keep recycling it. And it's like you use it. The utilization you use it so much that it's like.
Yeah. So
we have a question here for you from Max Goof Cards. What did you find more consistent than the Bend or Stacks version compared to this list?
I think that version is it's pretty consistent, but if you don't find Clarabelle, you just basically lose. And whereas this isn't really relying on any one thing so much like Clarabelle. So if you find Clarabelle, the Bend version is more consistent, I would say. But this has such a higher power level that it's worth giving up that little bit of consistency. I think once this gets rolling, like you just cannot stop it. So yeah, I would go with this every time.
It's nice because you have, like you said, you have multiple engines in this one where you're not just relying on Clarabelle. You have Oswald that can pop off. You have Tamatoa that you can use. You know, even Scrooge to an extent can like just keep the gas going.
There's so much going on in this deck, bro.
There's 30 items. It's 50%
so
items.
much going on in this deck, bro.
So when you whiff, it's like really.
Yeah.
50-50 shot every time off the top, baby.
Yeah.
Given the performance that you've had this weekend with the deck, and if you were to move forward with this deck at, let's say, tomorrow, there was another triple deck format, and you decided to bring the same colors, are there any changes you would make to this list?
Not for triple deck. I would keep it the exact same for triple deck. If I was going to single deck where I can't ban steel, I'm playing Ursula's over the Sirhis, and I'm going to adjust it some for that. But if I'm doing triple deck, yeah, I'm keeping it like this for sure.
That's awesome.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, super awesome list. Super fun to watch on stream. I definitely saw some steam coming out of your ears as you were building the lines, real time, but like only
It's so
you
complicated.
could pull that off.
It's so complicated. And my opponent was at 19 lower and I knew he had a Pirate's Life in hand because he got it back with Shark. So like, how do you win when they're at 19 and they have Pirate's Life in hand?
That is why I was like, oh my god. I was like, oh, that's exactly the game I'm talking about.
That trap, baby.
Bro,
Yeah.
I was going crazy. Kylie and I were like, did you see that? Yeah.
I think we played the trap 6 times that game or something.
Yeah, something crazy.
6 or 8, I can't remember, but it was bonkers because they were actually like keeping track of how much lore he'd actually be at if not for the
nice.
traps. You know, the
Yeah.
casters, they're like, he should be at 24 lore right now or something. Like,
Dude, yeah,
it's just
Radigan's,
so funny.
Radigan's trap, bro, is like that card is insane. That card is always I've always thought that card has slipped on. Like anything that's just like minusing you and you can recur it, and I'm like, this
Can I
Yeah.
tell you something though? Prior to this, it was irrelevant. Everyone would be like, oh, but you know what I'm saying? All these like genius. It's
I
crazy.
know one guy that swore by that card, bro. His name is Mitch, bro.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mitch.
That
And
boy
he's
Mitch-
probably cursing under his breath right now. That was my idea.
I think Mitch
Oh,
is
yeah.
Mitch. I think Mitch was trying like Merlin's carpet bag, bro. Like, let's get back to Radigan's trap.
Yeah, and then between Radigan's trap and Gloyd, we've probably seen massive spikes on TCG player now.
Yeah, bro. Let me check. Let me check what Radigan's trap is. Sitting
Yeah,
at.
what are our foils at right
it a
now on this
rare?
floor?
You know what's really cool too is you don't see how amazing Emerald Coil is until you actually you need an invasive, and it's like, wow, that just solves problems that you wouldn't even think of, right?
I killed 2 genies with it in one turn in that game on stream.
Bro. It's so,
That's
like,
so awesome.
Radigan's trap, the 35-40 cent foil. Get them now, boys.
Hey, it was 10 cent before Worlds.
Yeah, bro. You got a 30 cents jump.
bro,
What's
that's
the
crazy. It's a 200-300% increase.
Yeah, but
100%.
I'll be honest, like I agree with Zach. Like I think it's really cool that you can build the deck in this way because you can ban like what's going to give it a problem, and you kind of play it the way you want to play it and the way that the deck can really flow. Because yeah, like I think if you bring this to like a regular like a locals or like a DLC,
Yeah.
you definitely have to like tweak it just a little bit, so that you might even need like more Lewis, like a third Lewis in there, just so that like you can kind of cover all your bases. But here you're like, yeah, if I just ban this deck's running, and it allows so many different decks to like kind of be seen. Whereas like you would get to like a top 8 in a DLC and it's like the same like 3 decks.
Yeah.
You're like red, blue, red, purple, green, steel. Here we go, or amber steel.
Now, I didn't get a chance to look at many other people's lists as well too, but does anybody know off the top of their head how many other green blue decks there were in World?
Yeah, I believe there's either 2 more or 3 more. I think there was only 2 other people playing green blue.
And-
One was items and one was the bend to my will.
Got it. That was going to be my next question. And did you notice that list was it close to yours? Do you feel like
It was close. I feel like it was much less developed.
okay?
They actually made top 4 as well, so
Got it.
Luca's list, right?
shows the power of the deck.
That
That's
was
super
Luca
awesome.
Lazara, I think. Had.
It's such a cool list.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you switched off the discard to this version, not only because it seemed like it did better and just, wow, was it fun to watch, but also you can remain champion of the people since you didn't play discard.
I know, winner of all hearts.
I don't know, bro. Popsicle Bell's almost as bad nowadays.
I mean,
Popsicle Bell
But
feels
it-
almost as bad as Shift Diablo sometimes now, bro.
except it doesn't draw 1,000 cards.
It
Well,
can't
yeah,
Listen, as
sing
long as
friends,
you guys are
baby.
catching all the shade instead of
Yeah.
people complaining about one drop Cinderella Storm, I'm okay with that.
That's fine now, but that's been outclassed.
Awesome. All right, and then we'll look at the last but not least, the list that you are probably the most familiar with, Amethyst Steel.
Yeah.
Let me just take a quick look. So you have, okay, so Palace Guard, unique inclusion. I'd love to find out some more insight as to why you went that direction, as well as one Pete. So
Can I
give us
take a guess on
some
those
insights here.
cards?
I want to say one more thing about the green blue real quick.
Sure. Let me go back there.
So green blue dominates red purple and red blue. That's like the main reason I knew for sure I was playing this for Worlds. If like people were gonna play red blue, people were gonna play red purple, like that was gonna be the red decks. And like so this dominates. And then so there was 27 other Worlds players if you don't count me. 20 of them played red blue and 4 of them played red purple. So against 24 people, I essentially had like a bye. Like I made the perfect meta call with this green blue, and this is like how it worked. Like this is my Worlds plan was to go through green blue because it dominates them. So like yeah, I pretty much had almost an auto win against 24 people. So it was pretty great.
Insane. All right, so your Amethyst Steel list. So yeah, talk to me about the Palace Guards and the inclusion of only one Pete.
Yeah, so I kind of touched on Pete earlier. Like, if I'm banning still, like I don't really care too much about Pete. And when the red blue decks are leaning towards the item builds that play 0 to 2 be prepared, it's like, yeah, there's no reason for Pete. I'm much better off playing something like White Rose that can get me across the finish line and that can help against decks like Blurple that are tough matchups for Purple Steel. But if I have all this, like I have 4 Goat, 4 Rose, 4 Cobra, I can just close the game on them. I can get a fast start and close the game. So it's purely a meta call. Everyone auto put in 4 Petes. Everyone else that played Purple Steel at Worlds played 4 Petes because I don't think they understood you don't have to. Like it's just because it's like the reason to play the deck. Think about more reasons and like yeah. If I'm banning Steel, I don't need them.
Yeah, it's the same reason why you included the Palace Guards, right? Because with no steel, they're just
Exactly.
overstatted 1-drop.
Yep, and knowing that so many people are going to take the strategy of playing aggro decks on the play, like Palace Guard just eats that stuff. Palace Guard plus Crab just crushes stuff.
And he can kill 4 Lilos or 4 Merfolk, or not. I guess Merfolk don't deal the damage back, but yeah,
so infinite Merfolk.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Plus,
and then we
again,
actually have
like against the turn 1 Bell, Palace Guard can still quest. Against Super Goof, Palace Guard can still quest. So like you get so much more lore out of Palace Guard. Plus he's there for the aggro deck. So when you're banning Steel, it just same reason as Pete. Like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it just goes to show you too, like how you could tell just by the way you just spoke about this deck. Obviously, everyone knows Purple Steel is your bread and butter, right? It goes without saying. But the fact that like you're able to just discuss it like that just shows how many I can't imagine how many hours you have playing this deck, right? And it's amazing because in my head, I'm playing a scenario numerous times, and Kylie can attest to this. If I were building a deck and I just put 1 Pete in without even being able to explain myself, I can hear numerous people being opposed to it, this and that. But I love the fact that like, you know, it just takes another like onto the next level, and you can only see that by the amount of hours you have playing this deck, right? Like how many games you were this close of winning if you just had X amount of more opportunity to gain 1 lore, right? Maybe 2. So
I was losing a ton of games in practice to like Blurple and stuff at 19, and I would have Petes, and I'm like, I really wish these weren't Petes. Yeah. So like, yeah, if you put in the work, you kind of see what you need to be doing. So yeah,
that's awesome. We do have a question from one of the viewers, Max Goof Cards again. Wants to know if you saw green yellow, would you consider banning knowing you only have 1 Pete?
It's a good question, and actually. So Pete obviously can be amazing to stop under the sea or the discard stuff, but that matchup dynamic actually doesn't revolve around Pete that much, because you're not really playing it on 3 to block how whatever the discard thing is, discard 2. Yeah, you're mainly just trying to empty your hand against them and get all these thick bodies on the board with like 3 attack and stuff, and you're emptying your hand so that Prince John's not drawing a bunch of cards. So you don't have Pete sitting in your hand ready to be played at the right times. So actually, while it can be an auto win in that matchup at the right time, you just don't have that opportunity much. So the matchup dynamics actually aren't in favor of Pete. It's in favor of having Rose to gain the lore and all these big bodies on the board.
That's super awesome. Thanks for that insight there. Cool. Awesome. So overall, again, probably similar question before, but any changes you would make to this list if you had to visit a very similar event tomorrow?
If it's triple deck, it's this the whole time. If it's single, obviously you're playing 4 Peats and reconsider Palace Guard and certain things. But yeah, triple deck, this is the list, I think.
Got it. Awesome. And cool. So now you've gone through, you had your crazy start on your super sealed, 3-0. You get to where you are and you get to day 2, right? Feeling great. And then, we ended up where we got. Tell us a little bit about what you were feeling, towards the end. I guess let's talk about the event itself, the build up for the event, and perhaps any feedback. I mean, this isn't your first competitive TCG you've played. I'm sure it won't be your last. I guess talk to me, is there anything that you're expecting to see from a growth perspective from Ravensburger when it comes to the next Worlds? We just got announcements about season 2 DLCs, which we'll touch on in a little bit, but I kind of want to get a little feedback from the Worlds event itself.
Yeah. So the tournament was handled very well. Judges were great. Staff was great. I don't really agree with the closing it to the public. I think that was a terrible decision. I understand they just needed to do it at this point just because of internal things. So in the future, they have to open it, for the growth of the game, keep the community happy, everything. It has to be an open event. The viewing area, so everything in Worlds was fantastic. I think the production was great. The viewing area for our +1s was really terrible. It was really bad. It was like you go out into the lobby of the convention center, right when you walk in the door, there's 2 couches and 2 chairs and a little TV screen, and that's the viewing area.
I did see someone post a picture of it.
It was awful.
They were watching from a screen, just like
literally
us.
And it was a tiny screen.
Oh man,
it was. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. So everything was
great.
There
was a worse viewing experience than watching from home.
It's crazy because I look at it as because we host events on a much smaller scale to someone on Ravensburger and Disney, and I can't imagine a world where whoever's in and I'm nothing bad to say, that's not what my intentions is, but I know what we can put together within 24 hours. Heck, I know what we can put together in 3 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't I don't know. I'm trying to put myself in one of their shoes, whoever's in charge of that. How do you not think of that? I guess I don't know.
Well, I could tell you just from having some experience with doing events at Disney, there's a lot of red tape that Disney puts around you. Doesn't matter what you're doing, doesn't matter who you are. Disney does not bend. They do not bend. So
I understand that.
They might have only been allowed to have that size TV. That might have been the only thing they were allowed to have there. And it might have been if we want to have it at Disney, then we have to comply with this. So that might have been kind of weird.
But my question is this, right? Even if the red tape, I get that. But what's the logic behind it, right? At some point, Disney, this is a Disney's game as well, right? I know they license that, but it's still their rep, right? This is something to where they're, especially seeing how big it got. So I don't know. I don't understand that. I don't understand how they're whoever's doing, like you said, I guess issuing that red tape. How do you? I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me, right? I don't know how to explain it other than this is a really big opportunity for them to they just have a really big opportunity. So I don't understand that logic in my opinion, but I don't know. It's almost like who's in charge, and maybe they don't even, whoever's in charge may not know even they're not even in charge, right? It's who, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the only negative I could really say. And the +1s weren't allowed into the tournament hall until top 8. I don't know. So my wife didn't even go to the viewing area most of the time because so if you have 28 +1s, there's no way that you could have 28 people in the viewing area. it was quite bad. But when they let the +1s into the viewing area for day 2, it was fine.
Got it. Yeah, that's you know, for I have to say,
So
when it comes to supporting for the competitive play and whatnot, from multiple perspectives, I did think that it was very nice for them to offer the ability to have the +1.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it just maybe the viewing area was just like a second thought, but at least there was opportunity. You guys did get to go to Disney and stuff like that, so I felt that was kind of neat, right? And did you get to go prior, like, did you go to any of the parks prior to the event, or did you reserve it for after the event?
So you know me, like my mind does not let me have fun when I'm prepping for a tournament. Like I have to be grinding nonstop. So we went for half a day to Disney, like a week before. But yeah, afterwards we were able to enjoy the vacation a little more. But the wife and kid had a blast. They were able to do their own thing while I was sitting in a hotel room playing Lorcana for 16 hours a day.
That'd be sometimes.
Yeah, I know that if I told my wife I needed to leave in the middle of the day to go play Lorcana, she would go tell me to sleep with my cards on the couch. So
hey, I'll do it then, whatever.
But no, that's awesome. So, but overall, sounds like you had a really good time. And with chapter 1 in the books, rotation around the corner, the next chapter, with that, we can do a nice clean segue into our next slide, which is the season 2 DLCs, which we were able to hear about during the event and a little bit on the Lorecast today. There's been a ton of feedback about it. It has been attempting to be positive. There's been a lot more negative overshadowing it.
I'll relate the feedback to an old school banger card that goes by the name of Grab Your Swords. That's the feedback that I've seen.
But yeah, so I think let's take a look at some of the larger takeaways. The community was really interested in finding out when the next DLC was. I know there was a lot of talk about, will we even get one this year? So I'm happy to say that we will be getting 2. Is it 1 or 2 in North America in 2005?
DLCs? We get 3.
In North America?
Yeah, we get 3 in North America.
They're all before December?
Oh, before?
You're talking about this year?
2025 is meant to say.
Yeah, what I meant is,
just
for
one.
at least the before these. Is there 1 or 2?
Yeah, it's
Well,
one.
we
One's
have
October, the
Milwaukee
next one's
instead of-
January.
Okay, so there is 1 in North America. So at bare minimum, there is going to be an opportunity to go to 1 before the year ends. If the only area of travel for you, if you were a North American competitor, will be there will be 1 opportunity. I do also want to confirm with you guys too. When I was putting together the show notes, I didn't get a chance to confirm it or not. But did they confirm the player cap for the event?
Unfortunately, it's still 2048, even though we have a lot less events.
Yeah. So and good observation, Zach. Because that's exactly what I wanted to point out. I think was one of the larger disappointments. Was I think personally I would have been okay with less DLCs given the transition of who's going to be managing those events moving forward. I feel like it's like a big ship, right? And you can't steer a big ship as fast as maybe the community can understand that. And maybe there's a world or some reasoning or some limitation as to why they're not able to have more than 2048 players. But overall, that kind of just feels bad because on paper in North America, that's literally half the chance of you being able to go to a DLC compared to the 6 that were available last year. even though those had variable amounts of player caps. So great on the consistency in regards to the player cap, but yeah, it I feel like it's going to be even harder to get to one of these. Yeah, I don't know. Devin, let me know your thoughts. What do you know? I know that
agree
you
with max goof cards. That's what I agree with.
Mhm.
Drive straight into the iceberg, right?
Mhm.
You know, to add to what you're saying, it is a big ship, right? And you know, sometimes it's if we've never experienced it, especially I feel like as like humans, if we don't experience something, can't conceptualize it, right? So if none of us have been in the position and that whoever is in charge and coordinating these bigger events, if we've never been in those positions, we can't really understand what the logic is, and we can't see it, right? But there has to be something, and I think you nailed it. I think it's just a really big ship, and when you have something to where you're planning for years and years, I mean, what's year 1 and year 2, right? I think there's maybe other focuses that are more important than some of these events outside of for the greater good, right? So me as a player and or that one me as somebody that is going to start taking it a lot more serious, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a bummer just because outside of just having the opportunity to participate in a DLC because for the competitive side, just us having the exposure and making a year out of it, we don't have that many opportunities, right? And that for me as a as our for our team and our store and our brand, like we want to go to every single event. We would love it if it was one every other weekend, right? Just for the experience. But yeah, I just don't think we can really conceptualize what it is that or the challenges they may face, right?
Yeah, I mean it's tough, like because obviously in a perfect world, I'm sure Ravensburger wants everybody that has the capability to go to be able to go.
Yeah.
And I think there, and I don't want to put my tinfoil hat on here too hard, but they already have mentioned year 3.
Yeah.
So it almost sounds like this might be the year that they just is the quote unquote transition year.
Yeah.
They just need to get through it. But they also need to be able to sustain the game, right? Because there's an ecosystem involved, right? You have the competitive players that build and compete, that show off these amazing decks, and then the players that strive to be those competitive players, trying to recreate those decks and play them in their locals, and just generally keeping the players engaged. Overall, I there's a formula, right? And not having a lot of official events, as far as DLCs go, is a little alarming to say the least. However, I will say that one of the things that kind of uh, I'm sure will keep a lot of people that are planning to remain competitive in Disney Lorcana are a lot of the third party places, like CCS, ourself,
Yeah.
PPG, right? So they are still creating massive events for Disney Lorcana, and I I think
Also, today they announced that they're going to be working with third parties like us, like CCS potentially, who are running these big tournaments to have those funnel into continentals, which is cool.
And which is
So-
interesting for you to even say too, because like I think that we should one day have a topic of our podcast is like to break down, who because we name PPG, we name CCS, right? You name ourselves, and I would love it to where we can actually speak and talk about like how we all like what we're what we are for the community, right? Because all three of us, I think we're kind of like all different in our own nature, right? And even in for the game at least, I think it's all of our responsibilities to continue doing what we're doing, especially if it's they're these DLCs are going to be so scarce, right? Because we want to keep the game alive for the community as well, not just alive, but we got to get the reps in, got to get the reps to can't let Zach
Yeah.
all the hours,
Well,
right?
but I mean, it sounds like that we could work in a more official capacity to basically they want to have something that's like more important than a set champs, but not as big as a DLC, I guess, is kind of what they're aiming for that.
and have it be a way that you can actually qualify.
That would be
And,
amazing.
I don't even
so-
think so much it would be for the sense of the qualification. I think would be a great addition because it helps promote foot traffic in stores of players that might not go to maybe like a not such a name store like the ones we just named, right? Because alone without Ravensburger support, we've been able to cap out events in our store. It would be nice to have more support to continue doing that. But I think that a neat idea, and to not take away a lot of prestige from the DLCs themselves, is the opportunity to maybe share some of those prize wall items that can be part of the pricing for like a third party, right? So like the non-foils, maybe even the mats or one of the mats or something, but still allow those who work hard and actually get the chance to go to a DLC, make the day 2 top cut, and get those foil cards. It looked like there was a huge emphasis on the ability to acquire non-foil versions of cards, even from the prior year, right? So they included the Let It Go as well as a Dragon Foil non-foil as part of the prize wall. So I thought that was interesting. It looks like they want more players to have the opportunity to acquire some of those prize wall items, whether you don't do well in the main event or decide to go only for side events, because that's another thing too. The cap itself traditionally was for the main event. So what if they are saying that's the cap for the main event? However, they are assuming or planning that more people will try to come as attendees just for the side events themselves.
Well, can I say something to that?
Sure.
Right? Because as we're talking about this, I think we're kind of diluting what it means to be a Worlds player, right? Like, I know everyone's talking about the opportunity to go. Like, first and foremost, I think a lot of players, and I'm not bashing it, but I'm not, I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way. But you got a lot of these players that are complaining. Are they willing to put in the work you need to be a Worlds player, right? Like it's not always about going to Worlds, but more importantly, it's about what all these other events you can like acquire certain things like the prize wall. I think that's great because not everyone, I don't care how skilled you are, if you're not prepping enough, you can't be a Worlds player. I don't care. Like, it's not just about talent, it's about preparation. I saw like someone we were talking about how many hours Zach put in while he was in Orlando. It was what? How many hours, Zach?
16 a day.
For people don't understand when I say this, that this is not an exaggeration at all. For the month leading up to Worlds, I played 80 hours of Lorcana or more a week. And that's no exaggeration.
Listen, and like that's a master right there. Like, understand that, right? Like having the ability to even be conditioned,
Right?
not only put in 80 hours, right? Like, for example, right? I have employees here, okay, and it's funny because there's a lot of times where someone is an employee, they get paid by the hour, right? And they'll say, "Oh, I'm here 70 hours a week," or I'm sorry, in a 2-week period, right? Not 70 hours a week, 2-week period. But what is just because you're a body in here, that doesn't necessarily mean you were productive, right? So if you give somebody the amount of hours that you put in, you could compare to, if they're not really prepared and understand how to really capitalize on what you're doing with those hours, that's a skill set on its own, right? So like, I don't know. I think that we're after talking about this, there's a lot of people that are diluting what it takes to be a Worlds player. It's not easy. It's a lot.
I saw there was some chat on Discord earlier about how it looks like on paper it's going to be even harder to convert into Top Cut, and I guess to
12 rounds.
Yeah,
2,048 people.
Yeah, essentially, I think did someone say it was like some X2s will make it in?
I think that's if they get rid of ties, which they haven't said they're going to for sure or not. If they don't get rid of ties, it's probably like 9-1-2 locks up day 2. So it really depends on the rest of their format.
There's so much variance, man. They should just do it to where, like, I know there's timing's a thing, but like there should always be a winner. I feel, ties are tough.
Yeah, no, that's definitely interesting. And what I was trying to lead with that is almost like I think that's the goal, though, right? Is to show the top performing players, and it like you can't get like someone who's X5 can't get mad that they didn't make top cut.
Yeah,
You
correct.
know,
No,
like
for sure. X2 though, you could probably like that's a decent run out of 12 rounds, right? Like
Yeah,
no,
only
in
losing.
comparison to that, I agree with you is what I'm saying. So yeah, I think even those that were saying like it's gonna feel bad if I go X2 and not make it, but also like think about the amount of time someone put in to be X1 or to go undefeated. So you definitely don't want to take that away from them. But you
Well,
know,
Zach, like you know all the preparation you have, right? Like once you're on that certain level of, I don't know how to explain it because like how to really describe it, but X2 is not even in the equation, right? You're not getting X2. You're so focused on making the right decisions even prior to even playing, right? Like what you're banning, right? And I think that, you know, knowing what you're always going to ban because you curated the decks specifically all three to make sure if you take one deck out of the color combination out of the equation, that is the win rate is that much higher. I think you're not preparing to ever go X2, right? Something, yeah.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
we were
I don't
talking
view
about
it
at
as a
the
plan.
DLCs though, not
Yeah.
Worlds.
No, I know, but I guess I don't know. I understand that. I'm not. What? Yeah. I'm just trying to show the preparation is so important.
Awesome. Yeah, so this actually is the last slide that I have for our Lorcana segment. I don't know if anybody wanted to give any, last thoughts, maybe some feedback, whether Ravensburger is listening or not, or maybe someone can, slide Ravensburger a note. What are some suggestions that could be made to kind of keep the show going, right? We've seen a lot of disappointment about some of the answers that we were looking towards for DLC. Like, let's say you were part of a decision maker. Like, what are some of the suggestions that you guys would have to kind of keep, stores engaged, players engaged, and get to that amazing year 3 that it looks like they plan on really capitalizing on?
I think the third party events are gonna be like the only saving grace that they can have. Like if it was me, any store I would partner with for like 3 tournaments, one before each DLC, and almost host like you call it like a qualifier where the winner or even the top 4 will get like a guaranteed entry, so they don't have to scramble. Right? They're going to guarantee a ticket. Maybe the winner gets a round 1 buy, and the prizing is all stuff like you said off the prize wall. Like let's say I think the top 64 card was like Mulan.
Mhm.
So maybe like if you win that, you get a Mulan playmat. And
Yeah.
then,
I like the guaranteed entry into the next DLC.
yeah, because it makes it where like you feel like pretty good. It's like, okay, I did good here. I topped, and now like I don't have to fight bots and 25,000 people to get one of 2,000 slots. And then, you know what I mean? And like, somebody like Zach, he can like, he can go to this event and like, guarantee himself that he'll be able to get into this. Because I mean, if you're a worlds level player and you can't even get into a DLC because there's 3 DLCs in it, your computer dies out on you, like it's just super disappointing. But I think a lot of games do it where you qualify, you get in, you get a round 1 buy, and it's because you performed. But I think something like that is really what they need. I mean, like I saw the celebration event. I think that's cool, the one in Europe, but it's just kind of like it's like just something that's kind of thrown in the middle, right? It's like you could get like a Gen Con playmat from last year, Gen Con playmat from this year if you do well. So there's like value there, but it's just kind of like, are you gonna fly to the UK to get a Gen Con playmat when you could just buy that Gen Con playmat for less than the ticket? But at least here, if there's qualifiers spread out enough, like Zach, you could maybe go to Atlanta, not bad to play in one of these if it's going to guarantee you a ticket, possibly a round one bye. I don't think you might fly to like Cali for it, but I think it has to be like spread and accessible. You have to you can't just be in the top right corner of North America.
Yeah.
You got to be a little more spread out than that. But I think that's really what they have to fall back on is they have to make the third party events accessible and worth it, and kind of space them out enough so that there's something for people to do and look forward to, like something on the calendar, like Jasmine says, like you need, red letter day, something on that calendar to look forward to.
I have a question. Do you guys think if Ravensburger allowed other stores to do cash tournaments, right? Do you think that there would be more stores offering that, or are other companies or more CCS doing that, more PPGs doing that? And then with that being said, more players entering the game because of that? Because, I would, to follow up Kylie's saying, why don't they just, rather than create their own blueprint, why don't they just almost emulate a successful card game that they're doing that now? For at least for the tournaments, not for the events, not for I guess the card game itself.
I really don't know what the dislike for cash tournaments really is. I don't know where it stems from. Maybe like they want it to lean more for like a kids thing, and they want it to be more kid oriented. But I think that there's like two sides to it. I think Lorcana is one of the only other games that has ever come out besides Pokemon that might benefit from having like a juniors and a masters league, where like if you want kids to have a certain experience, you can give it to them by creating their own kind of tournaments. Like you could certainly have a kids tournament on the side of a DLC. You could certainly have kids only tournaments, while you do these other events. And maybe that's why they shy away from cash, is because there is like that family presentation that they want. But I think I would never think that other games, I would never recommend that for other games, but I think dividing it, if that's really what you want, and letting kids have their own shot and do their own thing, then just split it. Just split it just like Pokemon. It's like Devin said. The model's there. Why not use it? Right?
Yeah.
If the shoe fits.
Because I'm thinking for example, I mean, okay, I guess it's still a representation of the game and the brand itself as well. If they're allowing their others like sanctioned stores to do that. But my thing is, if they're not doing it and their events are if their events are gonna be scarce and it's never gonna be about cash prizing, then allowing others to do that will at least keep the game healthy, alive, and super competitive, right? Because I just think of games like Magic, right? Okay. Magic, I'm trying to think, why has that been so successful over the years for competitive play, for events at least, right? Not just because the game is good, but it's because they offer. I don't know if that's the answer. If they allow their other stores to offer cash prizes, right? I don't know. I'm trying to see what would drive a player to play, because sometimes when we host big events, right, and we increase prizing, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to increase entries. So it's not necessarily. I don't know if it's necessarily because of that. I don't know.
I think you're looking at a different caliber of player, right? So I will point out a lot of the feedback that we got from the second day, the Merlin 5K. A lot of the players in that event were like, hell yeah, like please do this again. Obviously because of the entry to play versus the payouts, but there's a world where players were okay with paying more to guarantee more prizing. So
Yeah.
I think there's that. I also I will agree with Kylie. I think that there's a family/kid aspect Disney's not going to shy away from an opportunity for them to make money. So if there's a way for them to make money in a cash tournament, there's that. I mean, we've all seen Disney microtransaction games. A lot of them, are borderline like dark patterns, but that's a conversation for another day. But Disney as a business, if there's an opportunity for them to make money, I'm sure that it's something that they're willing to do. I think at this point it's probably more of a stance on the player base that they expect or want to play the game.
Sure.
I think Steph's comment is interesting. If you want to throw it up, Pooh.
Referring to Stephanie, not Stefan, right?
Yes, Steph.
Yeah,
Steph.
I'm not as right as I want to be, but yeah.
I think Stephanie's comment there is interesting. A lot of people say they're losing the casual player. A lot of people say they're losing the collector. And a lot of people say they're losing the competitive player. So with all this stuff being said, because Steph is definitely a casual player. She's good, but Steph, you're not going out to all the DLCs. You just want to come in, you want to play the game, you want to have fun. But you want more casual events and casual things happening at a local level, so it keeps it fun and entertaining for you, and you can have your fun and get your promos. And you don't have to be like, man, I have to go to this 2,000 player event and go 912 to even get a cool card, right?
Yeah, and I can also see Steph wanting to go to like what was kind of mentioned before, like a Disney Quest.
Exactly.
Instead of like
whatever happened to those?
Gone, baby. Now soon you'll be able to get signed cards in the park, like a blank card with a signature line.
Oh,
But
okay.
so if
That would be
they're
cool.
not geared towards the casual player like a Steph, right? If they're not gearing towards collectors, and they're not gearing,
I mean, they're trying to gear towards collectors with Fabled. We've got 2 new rarities coming out.
yeah, but
Like,
I mean, look, like
But everyone can get them.
Iconic is
though,
cool, but like the other one is, it's kind of just like, where's that been all along? You know what I mean? Like people want, like, look at Pokemon, right? Again, the models are here.
yeah.
You want a cool, and same thing with Magic, right? You want a cool alternate art card.
But just
You
going
don't-
to attend an event by
Yeah,
attending.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I have to get that Pegasus. I have to go to DLC to get that Pegasus. Those cards, there should be levels of those cards besides Enchanteds in a set, right? Right. Like look at like when you max out a deck, right? How cool is it to have like a maxed out deck, right? But then you get to certain cards and you're like Hidden Cove, right? I look at Hidden Cove and I'm like, the best I can do is foil. No
Yeah.
enchanted, no
I agree
alt
with you.
art, nothing. But imagine like, they do like cool alternate art versions of some locations. Like imagine an alt art McDuck Manor, an alt art Hidden Cove.
That'd
Goes
be
crazy.
so cool.
Goes crazy for the player, goes crazy for the collector.
Yeah.
And it's just like, they're throwing the darts and like they're hitting a bullseye and then they're hitting around the dartboard. And it's like, if you're not hitting the casual players, you're not hitting the competitive players, you're not hitting the collector, you're not nailing any one of the three, what are you focused on?
I
It'll be
think
really-
they're getting close though. I think the Fabled set champ is I think that's them getting back on track. That's
I mean, everybody's pretty hyped about that dragon.
exactly. I don't see nobody complaining about that.
What-
but
what set champ is that though? If
That's
I'm
the
That's
Fabled.
9.
but no, how
not-
many set champs have we have?
that will be the 6th, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, we started with
It's-
set 3.
It took them 6 set champs to now nail down set champs. When
I
set
mean,
champs
but
have 20.
If we're here,
Well, let me ask
I'm
you.
saying-
Let me ask you this.
But I
Um,
don't. Real quick, I just don't think. I think it's like too little, too late on that, in my opinion. Like I think it's cool, but I think you missed the mark to where I still don't think set champs are going to get more than like 25, 30 people a store because they still force you to do it on the weekend. So everybody's going to overlap it. So like if there's 4 weeks in a month, Jack, and you want to go get a play set, you have to literally top Saturday or Sunday for those 4 weeks.
Yeah.
You have to go find a store. And
I mean,
you know
I'll
what I
do
mean?
it.
No, I know you
Jack's
do.
not the
I know
person you want to ask that question to.
I have no doubt Jack and Hector and Zach are all gonna have like a couple Maleficent Dragon promo, couple playmats. I have no doubt of it. But like it's like I just feel like it's a little late. And by not opening it up to different days of the week, like you're hurting. Like if us and Guildhall and Mad Cards or who's down the street?
Chaos.
Mark.
Chaos. No, not Chaos. Family Cards and Games.
Oh yeah. God,
No,
we have so
Ray.
many card shops.
Ray, no, I never doubt you, bro. You're just not in the pod right now, bro. But if
Don't worry,
if,
Ray.
like,
He didn't mention me, so that's telling.
Steven retired. Steven retired.
No, I'm
He's playing Rift
actually,
now.
I've been doing
Do you-
quite well at locals recently.
Yeah, he had a cool win against Gabe. He wheeled him out.
Did you? You milled him? The mill?
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
get a cool wheel around the world moment because it was the first card, but
Listen, it
Right.
doesn't matter, bro.
Has
You
anyone
do
tried
you
to
do it,
those
bro.
yet? By the way, has anyone seen a whole new world yet?
yeah.
What are they going for?
Oh, the actual I don't know.
12K, I think, 104, 12,000. So they'll probably go
Yeah,
up.
you
'Cause, I mean, they're gonna get more scarce.
You think?
But,
yeah.
But I think I think like that's what I'm saying. It's like I think they're nailing certain things, right? I think that the dragon and that was perfect. Like I suggested that months ago. You can ask everybody. I'm like, yo, we need like a relevant card that people really want to see. But
Mhm.
then by not opening it up, you're just kind of keeping them to like 15 to 20 players max, and you're not, you know what I mean? It really like your competition really depends on like where do like most people go, right? If it's you can go to a set champs where you play all the hard best players in the area, or you can go to a set champs where you play with a bunch of casual people, and it's like it just kind of sucks, like because if a casual player kind of like makes the wrong choice or they go to the store closest to them and it gets like farmed out, they didn't even have a chance, when maybe it'd be better if they get to play during the week, like if they could go on like a Tuesday and then it's not so bad and crazy. But I just think like I think that they do a lot of things right, don't get me wrong, but I think that there's a lot of things that they have to fine tune, but they don't have, like they had 6 months from Nats to Worlds. They had a lot of time
Mhm.
to work this. And if this is the result of 6 months of downtime, now that they're gearing back up, like are they going to be able to focus and dial in on the important things, or are they going to get snuffed out by a game like Riftbound that's just watching all this and like gonna come in guns blazing and possibly just be like, hey, you want 20 events, we'll give you 20 events.
I have a question, right? What do you think? How long in advance do you think to print out certain cards and distribute them for a set champ? How long do you think that would take? Like, how much leeway do you think they would need?
Lead time.
Yeah,
So
Okay.
here's an interesting thing, and I'm not a card manufacturer by any means, but finding out for us to get non-foil whole new worlds by December when they made the announcement might be a little telling as far as like how long it takes from idea, like from concept to actual manufacturing. So I think let's spitball it. Let's say that I think they announced it last month, right?
Yeah.
So June, so 6 month lead time. Maybe not the process it takes to make that many cards, but there are a lot of other card companies, right? I think I've heard before that like there's like a queue with like contracts that like at like SLAs as far as how many like print runs and stuff like that, materials, like supply chain. I'm sure there's a huge thing, and Lorcana, in comparison to a mass printer like Magic, I think Pokemon has their own printers, right? So anyways,
Yeah, they can hit a wall because you can't just up and say I'm going to go print my cards elsewhere, because the card stock and all that's very important.
Yeah.
Like,
The reason why I say that, right? Because I think the way you've solved that problem is, I believe that if you could get the data at a certain amount of time, if there was that time period where you know what the meta is at that moment in time, I think what would be really cool is if you offer that as set champs, right? Where you get like an enchanted version of something that was really, really relevant in that meta, right? Or
That would be pretty cool.
right? So, for example, Bucky. Imagine getting an enchanted version of Bucky, right? or the Rat, you know,
bro,
Flash, you know,
bro,
or even like enchanted versions of like Popsicle,
Yeah.
or even
why you got to bring up Bucky, bro? That was the most disrespectful thing they did to my boy today. Of all
I know,
time.
but like think about that, right? I think that would be amazing in a sense, just because like I think that would get players out there, because not only are you getting a relevant card for that, you know, to play in a deck at that time, but also it actually talks about history. So when you look back at it, we get reminded of what that time period was like, right?
Yeah.
What
And
deck's
to
running Maleficent Dragon right now? You know?
some versions of red blue, maybe.
Nah, no, that's what I'm saying. I agree with this. It's like it's the turnaround time, right? It's like Devin. I think Devin's getting at like identify something super popular that, like, you use Shark, right? Shark is like the only card in Azurite Seas that you really want to see. It's worth anything. If you sure it hurts your market by like making a promo of that card, but if you identify how everybody wants to play Shark and you quickly get Shark promos printed with like a Shark playmat, you get you'll get like more people out like up to do that event. Like when Scar was the promo, I think I went to one set champ because I just like I didn't care. I saw the price of the card. I'm like, dude, if I need this for my collection, I can just spend $20 and get this card. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with like Mirabelle. Hero was a little bit cooler, but then it bleeds back.
Yeah, with Hero, they did the thing though where he hadn't enchanted, and then they did a
Nope.
promo. Like, why?
Exactly.
Who wanted that?
Exactly. The double enchanted. That's what I was just about to get at. And
That
that's why
bothered me.
it's like I said, it's like, man, they added an entry promo, which I thought was great for everybody. But then they took away a playmat and they made an enchanted that already had an enchanted. So I'm like, we're up 5 and then we're back 10. And it's like, like for Fabled, right? I don't know what's coming out in Fabled yet, but we all know the hype is on Goofy movie. So what's the easiest thing to do, right? The most playable Goofy movie card, and they know what it is, right? They're internal testing. I bet you the Candio could tell us right
hold
now.
On. Well, hold on. I have. Do they? Because I
was just gonna say
logic. Yeah, let's take your logic, for example, and let's review the last couple of set champs cards. And I will think the closest call they've made were Stitch Rockstar.
Well, that's
And
if they were
Purple.
trying to pick meta cards, but
No, yeah,
they
I
may
don't-
not
I
be.
don't-
I don't think they have been.
I don't think they are. That's what I'm saying.
off.
I think they have to shift it to trying to pick a meta
Yeah.
card. And that's what I'm saying. Like now that like the Candio's there and there's a whole new team.
But
They
how do you
know-
look at Maui Shark when you make it and say, I don't think this is going to be meta relevant. Let's not do a
Well,
set
we don't
champ
know
card."
that they said that. There's no indication that they take anything with power level and correlate that to getting an enchanted or getting a promo. Right?
Yeah, no, it's
That's what
almost
we
like-
wish they did.
That I guess that's fair, right? Maybe that's a fair assessment. That's why I say
Because they might just do it because of this character is popular amongst the Disney fans or whatever.
well,
You know
maybe
what I mean? Like,
well, maybe they should do then if they're not going to put those meta defining collectible cards in a set champ. Maybe they should create events where you can get stuff like that, right?
That's what I was
yeah,
saying
that
too.
would be
Yeah.
really cool.
I actually
Yeah.
had mentioned that before, where beyond a set champ, you just pick a card that's like super relevant. Stefan's about to smirk because he knows I've been talking about this, where it's like, hey, strength of a raging fire is $20.
bro.
Why don't we have a tournament where everybody on entry gets a strength of the raging fire alt art?
You know how you do it too, Kylie? By
then
you
top
do it by
eight-
regions. You do it by regions, bro. You don't
Yeah,
have to
good.
do it. You
Do
doesn't have to
different
be
cards for
yeah,
different-
like bro, like you have like almost like regionals, right? Where there's whatever 4 events you go to, okay, throughout like there could be one on the every southeast, southwest, northeast, northwest, midwest, whatever the case may be. I think if you have that, bro, now people want to travel. They want to go get those cool cards. Think about it, bro. Like everyone plays different color combinations. Can you imagine if there's a strength?
That's the Pokemon Go mindset. They actually did that. I know it's a phone game.
Fire.
It's a little different. It's a phone game, but they incentivize you to like, you can only get this Pokemon in California. You can only get this Pokemon in Hawaii, and like, yeah. Again, I don't know how like much I'd want to lock stuff like out, because then people be like, dang, I don't want to travel for this. If it's super accessible, like if every card shop in like 20 states gets it, then sure. But I definitely think there's a lot they could do. I just think, I mean, I think they'll do it eventually. I just don't know when they're gonna pull the trigger, right? I don't know.
Be quick, Riley, because since we're we always plan events and stuff. Imagine a world where you just said it, like only 20 stores, right? How about this? Only give it to stores that actually care about putting it into the game, and it's not necessarily just prize support. It's give it to qualifying stores where they have attendance of X amount of attendance threshold throughout the entirety of a certain time period from
100%.
a local level, and and then this way, it's almost like a Yu-Gi-Oh. Why is it no Yu-Gi-Oh? What's it called? What do we get for Yu-Gi-Oh here? Like we're a qualified store. We could host a
OTS store?
yeah, but we could host a certain event. What is it? YC? No, not YCS, right?
No, it's a regional.
We can host a regional, right? So do the same thing, and this way, because I see there was a few individuals in the chat.
That's what they announced on the Lorecast today, is that they want to start having stores basically do those regional.
Yeah, they did mention
Sorry,
today.
sneeze
So
there.
next
But yeah,
week,
so
next week we'll actually be able to talk a little more on this topic, because Cooper's actually going on and he's going to talk more a bit about, I'm hoping the third party
qualifier
event,
things.
qualifier things, but I really think that's they have to be leaning heavy into that. If they're like with what they're showing for the DLCs, I think they have to be leaning very heavy on the third party qualifying events and third party things. I'm hoping that we start to see like pre-release events come out, like Magic does pre-releases where we get a pre-release kit. There's certain cards you can only get in pre-release kits, and people can come and play the cards a little bit early. Hope to get RCQs like Magic does, regional championship qualifiers, get round buys. Hopefully revitalize their local weekly system, like the organized play kit, to make that a little more enticing for people. And hopefully they just really listen to the community and refine these things that they're close with a lot of these.
I mean,
Like,
that's kind of my whole thing with that. Is I think
they're right there.
We've made it, or we've been through the growing pains, and now we just gotta kind of see where it goes from here. And we'll play in the DLCs. Hopefully, we'll be involved in whatever this third party thing is, and just see what happens, right?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, a lot of conversation about Lorcana. I know I said we were going to change the subject a couple minutes ago, but I mean, before we sign off on that, just understand that we're coming from a very passionate point of view, and I love the fact that we're getting the perspective from store organizers, store owners, competitive players. Like, these are all things that we want for the health and the success of the game. We're not complaining just because we want to complain and be upset about it. Like, it's just one of those things. It's like we want to see the game continue to grow and thrive and be just as successful as some of these long-standing card games. And I think having constructive, fair feedback with a way to produce actionable items that get us to the next evolution of the game. Yeah. I think honestly that's what it is. But yeah. So Kylie, I don't know if you want to hang out for the Riftbound stuff. I know you're still kind of get your head's down for your Japanese.
Yeah, I
event.
was gonna say I actually don't know anything about Riftbound.
I offered to teach him, and he said, "I'll do it after Japan.
That's
I don't
fair
want to. I don't want to fill my brain with anything that
I
isn't
didn't know
set
about
for
that.
meta."
I
I'm
don't know.
staying out of it right now. I'm staying out of it right now. I'll back out. I'll let the better people who can talk about that game come on here. But I appreciate you guys. You know, anybody going to the summit this weekend in
Oh, good luck. Yeah. Anybody going?
Texas? Good luck to all you guys out there. You know, hope to see some great matches on streams.
See you
Hope to see
next.
some spice from some world decks come out there.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Anybody going to Japan soon? I hope to see you guys there. You know,
When do you
hope
fly
guys
out for
are
that?
ready.
Yeah.
I thought the 22nd,
Okay.
but I'm actually going to definitely try to still be on the pod the 2 weeks I'm there.
That'd be so cool.
That would
Nice.
actually be cool. You can
From,
kind of get
yeah, from Japan. So I'm gonna try to like splice in there, and you know, I gotta see what time it would be. Actually, I could look right
Yeah.
now. Let me look right now. I'll tell you guys
Oh,
what
man.
time I have to be up. Join you guys on.
Oh, but you're leaving the 22nd. Dang, so you're gonna be gone for my birthday.
Yeah,
That's a bummer.
I cannot wait.
It'll be
cannot wait till you
11. Oh,
take
it's not
this
that bad.
take first, my boy.
I'm gonna get it first for you guys. It'll be like 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning.
Can you-
So
Oh, that's not bad at all. Yeah.
It's not bad.
Can you
just
show all the
flip-flop.
viewers your progress with learning Japanese?
my progress.
Yeah.
The only thing I have to say all day is Discardo.
You know, you don't want to. You don't. Like, okay, you don't want to tell people what you're playing.
Bro, everybody knows I'm playing, bro. You don't have to. If Diablo's printed, he's in my deck. That's all I'm saying. Y'all don't even have to question it. If Diablo's out, he's in the deck. But yeah, again, you know, hope you guys have some good talk about Riftbound. I'm gonna play the game. I'm gonna learn. I've just had to like really go like in the chamber to like go back in time.
Yeah, literally.
It's very interesting when you're playing and you have to be like, okay, I can't get peated. I can't get Elsa Fist Spirited.
You have to like ignore all of these things you programmed into your brain
You're
to play around.
programming your
You're
head
like,
to, and it's a whole new mindset. Like I actually playing a normal game right now, I'm actually getting my butt kicked. But my Japan testing has been good. So Devin helped me a little bit.
And it's crazy. I was playing a deck with Elsa's against Kylie, and I was still losing. That's
Yeah, he had to update a deck, and he's like, I'm like, bro, it's fine, just play it, whatever.
Shout out to my boy Ray.
I'm doing my thing. Yeah, and I 2-0'd him. I clean 2-0'd
wow,
him.
that's awesome.
Easily.
So
Shout out to Ray's deck building.
yeah, it's a good
I'm
deck,
kidding. I'm kidding.
but good luck with the Riftbound guys. So I'll catch y'all later.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Thanks.
Good luck
Good
with
night,
that.
Kylie, have a good night. Thanks for joining us.
Night,
And
boys.
we'll see you. Well, I'll see you sooner, but we'll see you next week on. All right. Who's ready to talk about Riftbound? I know I am.
Do it.
I know that we also have somebody else who's ready to talk Riftbound that hasn't been here, that has been patiently waiting in the green room. So hope he's ready. I see arms up. Show me a thumbs up. Thumbs up. All right, he's ready. We have Mustache joining us again.
Mustache.
How's it going? Thank you for
That
being
was,
so patient. He's probably like, if I hear another thing about a Disney character, I'm gonna lose it.
No, if I see Kylie get first in Japan, I'm gonna do some crazy things at SSG.
No, we don't want that happening.
Why does it have to be just at SSG? Just do them anywhere.
I don't know about that one.
You know, see, Stephanie, you don't know, but when Stash talks that like that crazy talk, it's really crazy, bro. He says
I believe it.
crazy stuff, man, outlandish things. But we love Mustache. We love him, especially on the pod. We love it.
All right. So I wanted to do some recap really quick before we go over some of the reveals from last week's show up until now. Jack, I know you had an opportunity to play a couple of rounds and learn to play with some of the community members that come to SSG.
Yeah, that's
What
super
were your
fun.
thoughts on teaching people how to play, or people who might have already known how to play but needed a better understanding?
We're
of the
all
game?
constantly teaching each other. That's the best part about learning a new card game. Like literally every day someone texts me and they're like, hey, by the way, we've been playing this part wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Noted. Moving forward, you know, and like, so that's been really cool. But yeah, getting to do it on camera was really nice. Getting to cast the games or play them, it was a pleasure. And yeah, I love this game so far. It is really, really fun. The like how dynamic the gameplay is, of constantly having to worry about like what your opponent could do on your turn, or how you know, their attacks could potentially mess up the battlefields that you're trying to hold and stuff. Like yeah, I've been absolutely loving it.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it was really good to do the production for it as well. Again, learning on the fly is always fun. And as newer cards are revealed, you get to begin to understand a little bit more about the interactions of cards that have already been spoiled or shown. So, yeah, like yesterday, for example, I was playing. I was someone who already knows how to play, but they were trying Yasuo for the first time, and I do not like playing against that deck. That was the most unfun matchup ever.
Yasuo?
Yeah, just a bunch
Who
of
are you
Yeah,
playing?
Yasuo pops
denial.
off.
What were you
Yeah.
playing?
What's that?
What deck were you playing?
I've been sticking with Jinx.
My dog.
Yeah, I like the playstyle for Jinx right now. I do want to build with some of the other legends, but I just the deck's ready, and I've been playing it so much. I actually really like it. So
Yeah, Jinx is super fun.
But yeah, no, it was really good. Mustache, did you got to play a couple of games too, right?
I played and I commentated. I think the most fun I had was just being around the people.
Right.
The people made it everything, because just like playing competitive, it's like, oh, okay, I'm nervous, I'm anxious, I gotta make sure I win, blah blah blah. But when you're playing with people, like Jack and I were laughing because, or Ray and I were laughing, I think, because Jack was commentating at the time. Ray placed a card hidden, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what that is. There's like one hidden card in all the structure decks. Wow, I wonder what that's gonna be, guys. And then we were laughing about it. And fun fact, supposedly I'm the cheater. Ray cheated first out of
Oh,
everyone.
shots fired.
Wanted to bring that up.
Ray, I hope I see him in
Oh.
chat right now, so I'm sure he's
Yep.
typing away at that keyboard. Hit him back. Tell him you're
And
ready
he's
for a
like,
grudge
"Oh, I
match.
didn't cheat, Mustache. What are you talking about?"
Awesome. But yeah, I think it was great, and I absolutely hope it's not the last time we do it. And I think that probably the next step would be getting some access to some of the newer cards. So printing out some of those, trying them out, and just kind of seeing how the game itself is being revealed and evolving before it even comes out in October. So
Have a good night, Stephanie.
Hi, Steph.
Have a good night.
good night, Steph. Look, Ray. He
I
likes
think
that.
the
I
plan
could see
is
that face
that-
in person right now. That's a Ray disappointment face.
From what I believe, the plan is from Kylie that once the first set is fully released, we're gonna go ham on the proxies and make as many copies as we can, so that when people come, they can build their own decks.
When you say
as well as try to
released, you
fix
mean revealed, right? Not released. Released, we'll be playing with the real
Yeah,
cards.
yes.
But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
as soon as
No, I'm still talking
as
about
soon as we
proxies
have the
talking about.
full reveals, we'll yeah.
Nice. Well, talking about reveals, let's go. We're gonna go in reverse order. I'll start with some of the more recent reveals.
Mhm.
And essentially we'll be going through day 11 through down to day 9.
Okay.
And before I start the slides, well, let me start them because I do want to point out one of my favorite resources while diving into Riftbound. And someone help me. Is it
Piltover Archive.
Piltover Archive?
Yeah,
If
named
you're
after the
looking-
city.
Yeah, if you're looking into information about the game, cards themselves, the ability to print proxies, this has been a wealth of information. Anybody who has asked me about learning more about Riftbound, I share with them the link to the how to play, the core rules, and this website. So definitely shout out to them. They have a great presentation of these reviews or these previews. And with that being said, we have 3 here. We'll start with the first one, Flurry of Blades. So reactions, which are super awesome. It's if you are coming from the world of Lorcana, you're probably not used to interactions. outside of your traditional triggered effects, and being able to play stuff on your opponent's turn. You know, if you are more familiar with Magic, you are all more familiar with that. But yeah, so I think it is a fair reaction ability or spell.
You want to say what it does?
Yeah,
Or I
think
guess
that, yeah,
we're on screen. It doesn't matter. It's not like we're an audio podcast. We don't
yeah.
have to
So
read it all out aloud.
This is for
Yeah.
all you Katarina mains.
yeah, being able to deal 1 unit to all units at battlefields, so multiple. So
Yeah, I
that-
mean, it hits everyone at all locations, and this is yours as well. Keep in mind, but pretty solid, I think, as a surprise little way to turn the tides, maybe. But the fact that it hits your own, I think, makes it. You know, it only costs 1 though, so.
yeah, it might be. It's probably one of those things that you need to set up for, so that way you're not going to get super impacted by it. And then, so the next one we have here is the overt operation. It's a 5 cost. It requires you to recycle 2. Is that, help me with the colors?
Body.
Body. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, yeah,
Or
it says
orange.
for each friendly unit, you may spend its buff to ready it, then buff all friendly units.
Yep.
So buff, if you are not familiar with that, grants 1 additional strength to each of your units. So kind of neat in what would be like you're obviously getting a lot of value from this the more characters that you are sending to a battlefield and to a showdown. So nice way to at least start an action chain
That's interesting.
to get you know, a lot of strength on the board and either overpowering the opponent for an easy conquer or making it really hard for them and forcing them to use a lot of resources to hold.
Bro, they're allowing multiple ways to utilize as resources, right? Like, have you guys ever seen a card game that allows you to spend your buffs as a resource?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Mm,
And like, you know, with a legend like Set that lets you spend the buff as a resource on the hero power, you can get a lot of mileage out of these buffs. And one thing that should be noted about overt operation is you can spend the buffs on any of your units to ready them, but then you buff all friendly units, right? Not just the ones that spent their buffs. So even if you only have like 1 buffed unit that you spend when you do it, every single one of your units will walk away buffed.
For sure.
You're talking about
So-
for this?
Yeah, for this
that
spell,
is
overt operation, because it
crazy.
says for each friendly
Yeah.
unit, you may spend its buff to ready it, then buff all friendly units, not just the ones that were affected by the first half of the spell, right? So it's, I think, a pretty strong card potentially. I don't think you're going to probably run 3 of these in like a set deck, but maybe like 1 or 2 copies.
Yeah.
And what's really neat is if that set deck is using the location that grants ganking. This is like a super awesome way to set up like a double conquer in 1 turn.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I like it.
And question: locations aren't locked by legends, correct?
You mean
Yes.
battlefields,
Okay.
right? Yeah, like
Yeah,
But
the
yeah.
battlefields
Yeah,
themselves,
yeah,
flavor wise, play more into certain cards, right? Like so, like Jinx has
Yeah.
a location, a battle,
yeah, the Zon one that
the discard
you
one.
discard and draw.
Yeah, so like
and
there's
then
those-
like Bandle City synergizes with Teemo because it lets you hide 2 cards. So there's definitely like flavorful connections, but no rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
nice. And then the last one for the Day 11 reveals, probably the one that's been the most talked about has been the Dazzling Aura gear, which is a 9 cost, which requires you to recycle 2 bodies.
Recycled. Yeah, we haven't seen anything that high.
But gear being very similar to items in Lorcana, Jack, you can use gears right away, right? Because I remember using the seals right away as soon as you're able to.
Yeah, they because they don't come in
Yeah, even though
It's
this one isn't
exhausting.
an activated effect, but as soon as you're playing it, and then at the end of your turn, I mean, this,
Yeah, so
looks like a
this
straight
happens
Volibear card.
anyway.
Yeah, I made a mistake. I thought this was a spell, and then I read gear, and then I immediately ate my words and started
Yeah,
dancing.
so this is definitely a auto include. But at
Yeah,
the end
this
of
will
your
go in the
turn, reveal
Volibear
card
deck
from
for
the top
sure.
of your main deck until you reveal a unit. Play it, ignoring its cost, and recycle the rest. And when ignoring its cost, my assumption is not only the rune cost, but the recycle cost as well. You ignore all of it.
No. I actually that's a great question. I believe that when that says cost, it only refers to the energy and
Okay.
not power, but it could be
Because maybe it would
both.
say all costs.
Yeah, because that's interesting. But what if you present a character that is a unit, but you can't play it because you don't have the runes to recycle? So that's probably a card we'll probably have to look into. It
Yeah.
being
Yeah, I
nine-
would assume. I don't mean to cut you off. I would assume that that's a cost. That's a cost to play it. So I would assume.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. And the fact that it's not, it costs 9 and requires you to recycle 2 body runes. I'm thinking it's going to be as powerful as we're assuming it.
Yeah.
So definitely not interested in seeing that in Volibear decks. But
That's gonna be crazy,
interesting
bro.
card nonetheless.
Yep.
All right, rolling back a little bit. So the day 10 reveals was actually a big drop because they decided to show off all the unique cards from the Proving Grounds set. So if you don't know what the Proving Grounds is, this is going to be probably the best way to learn how to play this game, as it is an entire kit of 4 decks that their power levels are assumed to be pretty simple and straightforward. Nonetheless, great ways to learn how to play the game with some very familiar characters. I know at least 3 of them. Well, Master Yi being one of them. He was my first character when I started.
Wait,
playing.
you know Master Yi, but one of these other ones you don't?
So the top right one, I don't know. who she-
Lux?
Lux,
She's like
yeah.
one of the most famous
Garen.
legends.
She's like one of League's
Yeah.
biggest
Guys,
faces.
Sorry,
can I say
sorry,
something?
League. I will do better when it comes to research for.
Also, you know her brother, I guess, right?
Garen, yeah. So Garen and Annie, because like you have to remember when I played League, I know that they were doing like cycling through champions, but the ones that came with like your account the first time was like Yi, Garen, Annie. Is it Rise?
Lux was
Kale.
right there.
Yeah, like very simple characters. So like out of all of them, I was like, Yi looks cool. Let me try him. And I'm like that one person that once I find something I like, I'm such a creature of habit. So I stuck with Yi through the ranks until like he was just no longer playable for me. And then I moved over to top lane Garen for the rest of my League career before I uninstalled.
But you know, ironically though, those characters, if you take a look at League now, yeah, they're great ways to learn the game, but also too, like Annie's S tier, Garen S tier in League, right? In the game is
Oh, that's funny.
I wouldn't
I
say
don't, you don't, I
that.
mean, it's not us. It's not even subjective. I have u.gg on right now, analytics, right? Like the amount of Annie's S tier mid, right? Garen's S tier, I believe. So the point I'm trying to say is that some of these characters don't let them fool you. They probably were like I think Annie, and I'm sure we'll get to it, is broken. I think it's a really good card in this game.
Yeah, and we're definitely gonna take a look at it. So, but what I wanted to say is that if you are in the market to learn how to play this game, and are unsure of which starter deck you want to get, hint, you probably want to get them all. This is going to be a great way to start. So, and I'm pretty sure that we've put in order for a lot of these. So once they're available for pre-order, I strongly suggest that you pick one up. These might be a little hard to read, just because of the amount of them. And I don't think that there's a way that I can. Oh, that just makes it worse. So let me just maximize it, this slide for now. But yeah, so here are the unique cards that are included in the Proving Grounds set. Again, very familiar characters. You can see the legends in the colors that they represent. So, I mean, I could tell right off the bat, based off of the way that the runes are described, that Annie was also going to be red purple. And then it's just I'm so sorry. My eyes. I cannot read these cards.
All right. Well, so Annie the Legend is
Okay.
pretty cool. I don't know if that's the card that
Yeah,
Devin was alluding to.
yeah.
But so as a legend leading her, she's Fury and Chaos, which, like Stefan said, is pretty on point. And at the end of your turn, you just ready 2 runes, which means that you're always going to have runes up to cast actions and reactions on your opponent's turn, which is pretty cool.
Even the 4-drop I think is great.
Yeah. So the purple Annie,
Purple Annie. When you play,
she
me,
gets
you
a spell
can
back.
from your hip.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay. So I was able to finally maximize it. Yeah. Definitely great card. I'm like, for me, I'm always looking at the bombs. So the first card I looked at was Tibbers, and that, I remember hearing that in the game and just not a fan.
What's pretty cool too
For
is
me-
Tibbers is our first example of a signature unit instead of a signature spell. Every other legend so far has a signature spell, but then
nice.
Annie gets a signature unit, which is interesting because she seems to be very spell based.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
Yeah. So looking at her characters though, or her champion units, like the Tibbers is very flavorful because obviously, it's very easy to focus in on Annie until Tibbers comes out, and you kind of have to like not focus on her anymore. So yeah, obviously a huge threat. It actually reminds me very similar. I was playing locals yesterday in Lorcana, and someone actually played the 10-drop bodyguard Mickey on me. And Tibbers text reminds me a lot of that with the deal 3 to all units.
Yeah, except this is on play, which makes it way better.
Yeah. So super awesome card.
I think one of my favorite cards, which is super underrated, is going to be Flash. It's going to be used a lot in Yasuo to save
that
units,
card's
do some movement
cracked
plays.
because it can even help trigger the green Yasuo that when you move it 3 times, you get a point. Yeah. Very strong.
I also think Gentleman's Duel is going to be nuts in Holy Bear.
That was the other card I was going to bring up if no one else did. That card seems pretty good. Granted, it's an overcosted challenge, but it gives +3 might, so that definitely can allow you to like trade up a bit more. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if that gets any play.
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton here. I honestly love to get into every one of them, but there's just
I think we've talked about the most
impactful ones.
Yeah.
I like the art for Final Spark and what it does too. Just like it now I know who Lux is. That's the one that always killed me with that spell.
Yeah. Basically go bolt.
But yeah, awesome. Nonetheless, super awesome cards.
Before we go, I just have to shout out the yellow Garen. So unfortunate. He's literally identical to the yellow Darius, but worse. He has 1 less effect and 1 less might.
Oh.
It's not like Garen and Darius' relationship too. Right?
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so also on some day 10 reveals, we'll go through some of the only one
Poros. I was so happy that Poros are in.
Yeah. And super awesome concept. So like I don't know when this game was being designed if they had Lorcana in mind, but if they felt the pain of
Lorcana, why would they have Lorcana in mind?
if they understood the pain that players had dealing with Ward, I think that Deflect is an awesome way to try to deter spells being used. Like you're really like, if I need this thing removed, I'll pay the resources versus just not being able to do it at all.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, Stefan. You're right.
Yeah, well, what's funny is
for Deflect.
Deflect is literally just like Ward from Magic, not from Lorcana. Because in Magic, Ward is just that. When you play a spell, Well, no, not hexproof. That's a whole hexproof is
Hexproof
ward.
Yeah.
Yeah. But ward in Magic is not ward in Lorcana. Ward in Magic says when they get targeted by a spell or ability, you counter it unless they pay an additional cost.
Yeah.
And so that's essentially what deflect is. It's pretty cool.
I've never used ward before.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, they give it to a lot of like engines and stuff now as
Stupid.
like a protection method, you know, so that it's less broken than hexproof or shroud, but you know, still a way to like protect something. So
Yeah, I think Lorcana's going to come out with something that says enemies or characters with ward, characters lose ward this turn. They should
yeah,
have-
dude.
that would be
I actually
super
made a
great.
custom card like that a while back called Cusco's Poison. That's an item that just when you play it, all characters lose ward. You know,
Nice.
because one of the most problematic ward characters early on was that Cusco, the 3/5 that quests for 3, or the 2/5 that quests for 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought Cusco's Poison would be a great little flavorful way to deal with ward. So I hope
that
they
was
do
funny.
come out with an
Cusco's
item like
Poison.
that,
They should.
or some effect. It would
Yeah.
be very cool.
Yeah, so 2 cost, 2 strength. Looks like a super fair card early on. Again, being able to do some early conquest with something like this would seem super ideal.
Well, I also hope, which I didn't hear. I heard something about this in Legends of Runeterra. You were able to like mix all your Poros into a Megazord.
Well, yeah, there's a card in Legends of Runeterra called Poro Ball or Poro.
King?
Well, so Poro King is a champion in there that they made eventually. That's like a super powerful card, but there's like a Poro Ball that like basically every time a Poro died or when you played it, it merged every Poro you have on the field into one thing. It gained all their keywords and all their stats. It was nuts. Yeah, but so that's what they were referring to. So it would be cool if something like that came out, because similar to Legends of Runeterra, the first few Poros that we've got shown are literally just 2 cost, 2 might with a keyword. And in Legends of Runeterra, the first Poros we got were 1 cost 1/1s with just a keyword. So it seems like they're doing a similar vein to that. So hopefully the Poro Ball is not far away. Yeah, the elusive Poro demo Ray's talking about there. The elusive Poro was insane. Very
All right.
strong.
Moving on, we've got our day 10 calm reveals. So
There's the stalwart Poro.
yeah, so we've got Playful Phantom, 5 cost for 5 strength, vanilla. Looks pretty solid. Shield also, because of the way combat works in Runebound, Riftbound. Runebound is a board game. Riftbound. I actually do like the keyword shield and what's the opposite now for the attacking? Assault. Yeah. So it makes combat math a lot more fun.
Yeah, and they stack. So like if you were to give this stalwart Poro shield, like say from Tarek being on board, it would have shield 2, right?
Oh, nice.
And you'll see some characters have that built in already. Like there's some character like Jinx, the red Jinx has assault 2, you know?
Mhm.
But you might just see a character that or like there's the guy that just gives your whole board assault. So that would stack, right? So if you had him out and Jinx, you would have assault 3. It's pretty sweet.
Moving on, here are the mind reveals. So lecturing Yordle, 3 cost, 2 strength, tank, and another super awesome keyword that I like. And then when you play me, you draw 1. So filtering through the deck a little bit.
Solid.
Yep. And we've got Mega Mech, 7 cost, 8 strength, vanilla. Not really much more to talk about that. Falling Comet, 5 cost, action, deal 6 to a unit at a battlefield. It feels great to play against that Yasuo unit because the Super Mega Death Rocket is just out of reach.
1 short. It's always so annoying.
And then following up with Singularity, so 6 cost, recycle 2 of the Mind Runes, and dealing 6 damage to each of up to 2 units.
So is it 6 each or is it up?
Yeah,
to
yeah, it's 6 each. It'll
between-
say split if it's
Okay.
divided.
So super solid cards all around.
Yeah, both those removal spells seem pretty efficient.
Mhm.
the Drakes. Now I'm excited about these.
All right. So for our body reveals, pause.
Shit.
We've got three crack shot Corsair, 3 cost, 3 strength. When I attack, deal 1 to an enemy unit here.
Which
yeah.
RIP Crackshot Corsair. If anyone's played Legends of Runeterra, you know they did her dirty, because in Legends of Runeterra, when she attacks, or when any of your characters attack, she deals 1 damage to everything on the side of the board. So they made her a bit weaker here.
Which is perfectly
Jack,
fine.
can you help me understand timing when it comes to showdown and when I attack triggers happen? That's after the focus is passed from both the attacking player and the defending?
No, I mean, so it goes when I attack triggers, then when I defend triggers. So the defend triggers will resolve first, but before any of them resolve, there's a chance to respond. That's when the chain first opens up in a showdown.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to understand the timing. So like the difference or the way that I was thinking about that.
Oh,
would be very similar.
also Ray just corrected me. She did 1 damage to face. It was Misfortune that did 1 damage to everything. So yeah, never mind. They actually kind of made her better then, because now she can hit enemy units, which is cool.
Got it. So the traveling merchant, for example, so when it moves to a battlefield, that
happens before the showdown even starts.
Okay,
That
so that's
doesn't
what
have
I'm
anything to do with when I attack or when I defend. That's when I move, right?
Yeah, for
That's a
me, it was
different
mainly
trigger
just
completely.
asking like the timing question for that, because I didn't know if you dealt the damage before the showdown even started. But okay, cool. All right, and then moving on, we've got Dune Drake, 5 cost, 5 strength. When I attack, give me +2 strength if there's a ready enemy unit here. So that's a little challenge, pseudo challenge, situational. Next we've got Mountain Drake, 9 cost for 10 strength, vanilla, just a big bomb.
Yeah, but it's a
Now-
dragon, so
Yeah, now because of the new card that I was wrong about the gear, I'm gonna make a all dragon, all just tank, just massive bomb deck, and then hope I get the gear on the first.
Survive that long.
well, there's
Well,
also the dragon collar or whatever she's called that, she's like makes it so all your dragons cost 2 less, right?
Yeah.
So if this thing costs 7, that's actually, it's not so bad. It's a vanilla 10 string.
Yeah.
Next we have Cannon Barrage, so 2 cost, recycle 1 body rune. So it's a reaction which can be played at any time, and you deal 2 damage to all enemy units in combat.
Yeah, this seems super strong.
This feels great against Victor decks.
Yeah.
So watch out.
I mean, this just feels strong in so many situations, because unlike the Katarina spell, the Flurry, is it called, or Flurry Blades, right? This doesn't hit everything. This only hits enemy units.
Yeah.
Granted, it's only enemy units in combat, but that
You
can
put it
be
a little
major
overpowered.
concern.
Yeah, it seems pretty
I have a
cheap to play.
I don't know if it's possible. Is it possible to have 2 showdowns at the same time? Like, can 2 units move at the same time to
Nope.
different battlefields?
If you're moving multiple units at the same time, it has to be to the same location, whether that's all back to your base or all to one battlefield.
Okay, because I was gonna say if you could do that and then activate Cannon Barrage,
No,
and
yeah.
that would be the nuts.
Mhm.
All right.
Last one here is Confront, so 2 cost action. Units you play this turn enter ready, and you draw 1. So that sounds super awesome.
Yeah,
if
that seems
you-
pretty solid, actually. I hadn't seen this card.
Yeah, so if you have like a bunch of either small cheap units, it depends on the timing of the game as well too, because the good thing is that you don't have to recycle any runes. So like let's say if you had 12 runes out when you were playing this, you still have 10 points of resource left to be able to just play some other stuff and really kind of try to turn the tides a little bit.
Yeah, this seems actually like a really strong card. This could just win you games sometimes, because you just, your opponent isn't ready for you to make an attack, and you just confront, play a big thing. Yeah,
And
that's
you
a
draw a card.
scary card.
And
Yeah.
you draw a card. This is a cycle card too, right? You top deck,
Yeah.
you play that. Okay, boom, I'm drawing another card.
And
Now,
then whatever you play comes in ready.
yeah,
Like,
it's
So,
a little
when
broken.
does this end? Because could you use this with the gear at the end of your turn?
No,
and it
because the
brings
gear
it in?
happens at the end of the turn. So no
Okay.
matter what, the character you get from that gear item will be usable on your following turn. So
Yeah.
confront won't.
yeah,
help.
I'd be interesting to see the timing to know, like, if end of turn effects evaporate before, or like until the end of turn effects evaporate before end of turn triggers happen, right? Because it would determine whether or not the unit enters ready, but it's still well past the time when you would be able to use that to, like, say, go into a battlefield. But it could affect other things eventually. I don't know.
No, yeah, but not even that. But like, for example, Magma Worm, like other friendly units enter ready. That also comes in ready. You won't be able to use it because it's end of turn. But at least like maybe sometime later down, there'll be a card that'll say like, oh, reaction, kill a rest or a. Is it rested? What is it? Tapped unit?
No, it's exhausted.
Exhausted. Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
think it's
interesting.
broken.
Confront's cool.
I think confronts are really broken. I think it's a stable. Any orange deck should play that card.
Probably.
Broken.
100%.
The fact it cycles really makes it tough to not include.
And it doesn't. And there's no.
It's common.
Cycle.
So
Yeah, and not to mention the art is sick.
Yeah.
yeah, that card is
common
good all
before?
around. The more I look at it, the more I'm worried about it.
Do comments come foil?
Every card can come foil. Every card rare and above is always foil, apparently.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Nice. Yeah.
You know who won't like that? Zach, if he ever plays this game. He hates
Yeah,
foils.
he hates foil,
All right, we're gonna go
broken, bro.
move on to chaos now.
Okay.
So another Poro there for you, Mystic Poro, 2 cost, 2
Yeah.
strength.
I like this one a lot. I
That
think
Poro's
Vision's
gonna
a
be like-
super powerful ability.
Yeah, because the decks are so small too. I feel like filter and draw effects are going to be even way better than on like a traditional deck that would be, or like Lorcana, like 60 card deck. So I think that's kind of
I
neat.
think that Poro's pretty good, no?
Yeah, I think it's solid.
And then we have Psy Scout, right? Did I say that right? 6 cost, 5 strength, another vision. So it does the same thing that Mystic Poro does, and then you may play me to an open battlefield. So that's super awesome.
Bro, more
Really,
big
really quick, easy way to do a quick conquest if nobody's there.
Yeah.
Follow
Same
up.
with the sneaky
Yeah, the
deck
sneaky
hand.
deckhand does the same thing too. So,
So it seems like Chaos has access to this ability. So far, it's the only one that has it. There's the orange character that can be played to an occupied battlefield,
Yeah.
but there's now 3 Chaos cards that can be played to open battlefields. These 2, and then the Misfortune Champion.
Yeah. Dead Bloom Predator. I think.
Yeah, that's it. I always get it mixed up with Snapvine because their
Yeah.
arts are very similar.
They look-
But
yeah.
Snapvine has 2 heads, and Dreadbloom has 1.
He's a fake Maokai. Yeah.
and then the last one here, 2 cost, Morbid Return. Action, return a unit from your trash to hand. So that's, I think that's kind of neat. I'd love to see that in a Jinx deck. Again, for like, I like the trigger effects you get from like having a discard and stuff like that. Like, what's the character that you recycle a Fury rune?
Yeah. Isn't
when
it?
you
I
discard
thought
it?
you were talking about the dog that brings the unit back.
Yeah, the Cemetery Attendant. That card is sick because it's a dog and it has the same effect. So I'll always play that over this thing.
Oh, okay.
I
Gotta
run
run my dogs.
Where you say when you play me, draw one, no, discard one, or no, or when you discard me, you may pay 1 to play me.
Yeah, you're talking about Flame Chompers?
Flame Chompers. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, I like
So
Flame Chompers.
What about Flame Chompers?
No, I was saying that I like like getting a character back and doing like, so because the Jinx trial deck has like a lot of Legion. So doing this and then playing a character with Legion.
Oh, that's pretty slick. Yeah, I like it.
Which I think the fact that Morbid Return doesn't have a recycle cost is crazy.
Yeah,
I think it's fair. I like it.
Well, if you look at it, right, if you look at the so far, we've been seeing some sort of it looks like every color is getting something similar to that because body, which is orange, right? They got the card we were just talking about. Everyone comes
In
in
front, yeah.
Yeah. So it's very similar, right? This is their version of that power level, I would assume, right? Or
Okay,
something.
sure.
And then the last one for day 10, or the last for the rune colors for day 10 is order. So another Poro, Daring Poro, 2 cost, 2 strength.
That was
4
the
+1.
elusive one. Now he's got assault, much more balanced.
And then following up, Petty Officer, 5 cost, 5 strength with assault +1. Pretty solid. Then we have the Vanguard Sergeant, 4 cost, 4 strength, vanilla. No complaints about that one. Then the 3 cost, 3 strength, Noxian Drummer. When I move to a battlefield, play a 1 strength recruit unit token here. Okay. So just trying to get a swarm out there. I'm sure that Victor Dex will enjoy that. And then the last one back to back is a 3 cost reaction spell. Give 2 friendly units each 2 strength this turn. So nice way to mess up the combat math a little bit during a attempted conquest. Or
This card is really cool. So this is a card that's basically come 1-for-1 over from Legends of Runeterra. Same art, same name, except that in Legends of Runeterra, it was a 6 cost to give 2 allies +3/+3. In this, we only have 1 stat, but it's half the cost for 75% of the buff. I think this card is going to be cracked. It is such a huge swing to be able to potentially save 2 units from dying in a combat where your opponent thought they were going to be winning, that you are now winning, matching, or just having 2 things stick around that they thought they were going to kill, right? Like, I think this card is going to be if you're playing order yellow, you're running this card for sure at a 3-of.
Oh yeah, I think
is that the pattern that we're seeing with like a lot of the like that last card for each of the colors? It feels like auto includes.
Yeah.
well, this one is a little bit higher as well. But I'm looking at these cards compared to like body and chaos. I can't remember mine, but I feel like order got shafted. Like I feel like order's cards are kind of mid. Like, at
Well,
least
the
the
rest,
new ones,
I mean,
for
I
sure.
like the Daring Poro. I'm not playing.
Yeah, Daring Poros fine, especially if there's more Poros synergy down the line.
Yeah.
Noxian Drummer is also really sweet. Like, I think that's a card because she basically comes in to whatever battlefield with 4 strength, right? Because the recruit will be there as well. But then any buffs, like say back to back, right? Now you automatically have 2 guys there to get off that. And then if she sticks around and you get to move her even to other places, she's just making more and getting even more value. So I think the decks that want to go wide are going to love Noxian Drummer.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then last for the day 10 reveals will be the Battlegrounds.
Oh, that's cool. They do that with Battlegrounds too.
So first one, fortified position. So when you defend here, choose a unit, it gains shield 2 this combat. So that is like what's the champion? Terrace, right? Or
Tarek.
Tarek that does that is synergizes well with like shield and tank and stuff like that. So that's probably going to be a battlefield in that deck. Next one, start to peak. When you hold here, you may channel 1 rune exhausted. So great for those ramp decks.
Yep.
Yeah, that one is pretty sweet.
And then the Reckoner's Arena. So when you hold here, activate the conquer effects of units here. So synergizes with those. I can't come up with any at the top of my head right now. You guys have any units that you're familiar with the conquer effects?
Yeah. What am I thinking of? Isn't Jinx one?
No.
No.
I'll look right now.
Oh, well, I mean, no, because
there is a card. Oh,
yeah. So the Super Mega Death Rocket has a conquer effect, but that's not an effect of a unit that would be at Reckoner's Arena. So that won't synergize with this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what are like some of the conquer effects that you'd want to
I
get.
know there's at least one in the starter decks.
There's a really cool website that you guys can check.
Yeah.
called
I'm
Tilted
on it right
Oh
now.
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm doing now. Oh, you guys can keep going, but this is gonna bother me.
That's fine. Take a look. We've got 2 more slides after this, so going over the day 9 reveals, we have a couple of champion units. First one, Kiana. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, which I'm gonna love that.
Yeah, she's kind of good.
4 cost, recycle 1 rune, 4 strength. So that deflect ability again, which I'm a big fan of.
Gonna be good,
Oh,
bro.
here, perfect. When I conquer, draw 1
Yep.
or channel 1 rune exhausted.
Oh yeah, she's cracked with that battlefield.
Yeah.
Bro, she's good.
Okay.
Bro.
Oh, Trendemir.
Well, Tryndamere only works when he deals combat damage, so
I mean,
that's
when
not
I-
going to work there either.
Well, I mean, it says when I conquer. We did ask. Well, we did talk about that. but-
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, we're talking about things that are synergizing with that
All right,
battlefield.
fine. Just tell me you hate me, Jack. It's fine.
No, I'm just, I'm just trying to say like that.
Listen,
That
she
won't
does
do
the same
anything.
thing to me in Lorcana. Don't worry about
But
it.
Kiana is really good at that battlefield because
Bro,
you,
she's
I
fire,
mean,
bro.
draw another card or channel another rune.
She's
Yeah.
fine. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and then we have Karma, 6 cost, 6 strength, recycle 1 rune, vision. So another way to continue filtering through your deck. When you recycle 1 or more cards, buff a friendly unit. So giving
So,
that the +1 strength.
Basically, when she comes down, she will automatically, you get to buff a friendly unit because you will recycle a card off the. Well, I assume you won't if you want to keep it on top, but pretty good chance you
Might
can
as
give
well
a buff
recycle
right away,
it.
right?
Yeah, especially if you need the buff.
Yeah.
And then the last one over here, 2 cost, 2 strength, pit rookie. When you play me, buff another friendly unit. So
Yeah, seems like a really good card in the set deck. All of these seem pretty good in set, to be honest.
nice. And then last reveals for today will be the battlefield. So the candlelit sanctum. When you conquer here, look at the top 2 cards of your main deck. You may recycle 1 or both of them. Put those you don't back in any order. So
This is a Teemo battlefield. It's so good in Teemo because when you look at those top 2 cards, if either of them are Nocturne, you can play Nocturne. So, yeah, it's awesome.
nice. And then the last one here, we got a 2 cost gear, Forge of the Future. So when you play this, play a 1 strength recruit unit token at your base. And then you can kill this gear to recycle up to 4 cards from trashes. So this is a good tech against, like, let's say that Jinx Super Mega Death Rocket's giving you a hard time.
Snap, yeah.
Send
Yep,
that
you
right
just
back
send
into
it
their
back.
deck.
Yeah, this is
which is really-
going to be a good sideboard card for sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
and-
there's fighting in this game?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which I don't like, but I personally
Yeah,
don't like the whole
yeah,
side.
I know you don't like it.
Sideboarding is high
You're a One
skill.
Piece player.
Yeah, but I feel like it's so sweaty though. It's like, oh, in case I see this deck, I gotta add this card to my
But
side.
Yep,
deck.
that's exactly the
Yeah,
yeah.
let Stash back on this pod. He's giving me One Piece vibes. Best of 1. What do you guys want? You guys don't like playing against skill? You just want to cheese people?
Yes, yes. I also want my bacon
Jeez.
in my.
Next thing you know, you come into Arcana, you top deck your 1 out or B prep to win.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, I love sideboards. I feel like they give you a lot of opportunity to flex your skills because you can choose to tech against meta decks. You can choose to try to shore up weaknesses that your deck has, So yeah, I really like it.
Well, I like it too because I always say it. Well, I always say it from like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? But when you play a best of 3 format with side decks, right? Game 1, you're pretty much identifying what you're playing against. Game 2, you're siding into that. Okay, so then game 3 is real skill, right? Because like gives you the ability to get the information you need in game 1, game 2 to side against it. But if you're going second, and then but game 3 is where true skill comes in.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I love it.
I mean, I can't wait. I'm the last time I did sideboards was in Magic. So, and even then at that time I was very casual Magic player going to locals. So
Yeah.
super excited about that. But yeah, I mean, that wraps it up really, not only for the reveals, but the Riftbound segment of our show. You can tell we're super excited about the game. Can't wait to play more of it, see more cards. October could not come soon enough.
Yep.
For some of
And
us.
we're gonna
But
have
Yeah.
a sick release tournament and
Yeah.
many more tournaments afterwards.
yeah, so definitely if you're in the area or have played at one of our events in any other game, you know how we do it with our events. So it's something that you definitely don't want to miss out on early on, and continuing as Riftbound continues to grow more and more popular every day.
Yeah, and I feel like for the tournaments, we could also go crazy with the prizing because we don't have to limit it to just Riftbound. We could limit it to like RP for League, or we can do, or not limit it to RP, but like we can do a bunch of stuff for like RP. We can do stuff for Valorant or League, TFT, stuff like that. Like, because obviously players that come in that play Riftbound might actually play League as well. So we could always just like be like, oh, we're adding an additional prizing of 100 credit for
I
Riot
mean,
games.
I'm sure most likely we will just do cash because Riot has no problem with cash tournaments, and you know what you can buy RP with? Cash.
I mean, yeah, but we can, make it a little spicy. Bro, Jack, just tell me you hate me. It's fine.
No matter what, it's going to be interesting, and I'm really looking forward to being able to either participate in the events or also do the production for them. But yeah, with that being said, that's going to be our show for tonight. Thanks for watching. Before you head out, scan this QR code. Don't forget to follow us on socials. We're on Whatnot every day doing a lot of Pokemon. You can follow us on Twitter for some, hopefully, some spicy takes on card games, as well as showing off some of our winners and whatnot through our events and much more. Mustache, before we sign off, do you have any last thoughts, moment, or anything to say?
Well, yes. If you do follow us on socials, like Instagram, for example, when Riftbound comes out, you could see yourself on our page when you get first place. So follow us.
Absolutely.
Boy, love the energy, my boy.
All right. What about you, Jack?
Yeah, I don't know. Excited for Riftbound. Hope to see everybody come play it. Not giving up on Lorcana yet either. I think it's gonna be all we just gotta see what happens with these next few DLCs and stuff. And follow our Twitter. We'll try to keep you updated on all the latest stuff happening with us, and we'll hopefully see you at one of these Riftbound events soon.
Awesome. What about you, Devin? Any last words?
Last
Happy
words.
Ribs.
Love every single one of you guys, not only on the pod, but viewing, supporting. Without you, none of this exists.
Yeah.
Give us purpose every day. You make all these individuals excited. You get a stash, a new flame. That seems excited.
Tell him how it is, baby. Tell him how it is.
Stefan, I love the production. I love everything you put together, and I love everything we're doing here, guys. I love it. Let's keep it up, keep the momentum up, and we're super grateful for everyone viewing and watching us, listening to us talk this nonsense.
Talk about
See you
cardboard.
on the Rift,
Cardboard, baby.
Summoners.
Cardboard and things.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in again. We're looking forward to throwing another show. I know we started a little bit later today. We wanted to try out, see if we can get some West Coast people interested in watching the show, and it looks like we had some pretty good viewership numbers. So we'll probably be sticking around this time for the time being, but we'll make sure to post a little bit earlier to let you know when we'll start, and we'll see you then. Take care, everyone.
See you.